Hello and welcome to the Early Bar Football Podcast. Today in our debut episode, we're going to be focusing on the return of the English Premier League. At the time of recording right now, we're only 7 days away. Can you believe it? Already, we're only 7 days away from kickoff. So today we're going to do a bit of a Premier League preview, at least our best attempt anyway, if this even makes it to air. So today I'm joined by Leify, Chrissy, Ginge, you said it, Ed, Ash, and Tang. But first, even though I just said it's going to be a Premier League preview, I'm going to do something that's got nothing to do with the Premier League. And that is going to be talking about the big story, which, of course, is Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona. Yes, big story in the last 24 hours is that Messi is no more at Barca, even though he had signed or agreed verbally, I guess, a new contract. But he's no more. He's out. Due to registration rules, financial fair play, and other financial constrictions, Barca can no longer afford Messi. And it's rumoured right now, again, this might change by the time you listen to this, but it's rumoured that he is heading to PSG. We're going to start off first. Leify, Messi, what's going on there?
Well, I think obviously with Messi being such a mainstay at Barcelona, we were saying earlier, it still doesn't really feel real, whether it's employed by Barcelona to get the Liga to bend the rules slightly, to registration rules to get Messi signed on. But if he does go, obviously looks like either PSG or Man City are the only ones who can afford him. If Man City get Grealish and Messi, that could be a very scary prospect considering the side they've already got.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't really feel real to me. Like you said, have to wait and see. But I'm still not sure whether he is fully gone. But we'll wait and see.
Chrissy, is it actually a ploy though? Because I've seen a lot of people and myself. This is what I kind of feel deep down inside. Deep down inside that Madrid and Barca are kind of in a situation right now where they're feeling bullied, certainly by La Liga, restriction issues and registration issues. Is this a case, or do you think this is a case anyway, of a Barcelona trying to fight back? I mean, it's quite extensive considering that videos and such have been posted. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's really gone?
Personally, I genuinely think he is gone because I think Barcelona are in the mud financially. I mean, you look at their problems. I mean, what was it, a month or so ago? Like their wages leaked, on social media and that, and seeing things that Griezmann's on like 800,000 a week, like people like Martin Braithwaite and
outrageous,
Neto, like on like over 100 grand a week. It's mental. They've brought it on themselves, really. Do you think
a lot of these? So do you think a lot of these sort of outrageous signings, like Coutinho, overspent and wages being overspending, is in preparation and panicking for the inevitable exit of Messi? Like the overspend of Coutinho, spent Dembele and Griezmann. Obviously, Messi's 35. It was coming. It's going to happen probably in the next 3 years that he's going to come towards the end of his career. Is it something that's what stemmed from? Do you reckon?
Quite possibly, maybe, or whether the likes of Perez and Bartomeu / Laporta, actually thought this whole Super League thing, so it's going to go ahead. We're going to try and make sure this thing goes ahead, or we're going to, like Owen said, try and bully La Liga into, giving us, a bit of a, underhanded deal, so to speak, and that because it's a difficult one for La Liga because they'd want to keep Messi, in the league. And that because obviously Messi, he brings massive viewership from around the world. You lose Messi,
it was something like they in the last 24 hours alone, Barca have lost like 5 million followers on Instagram just by Messi. Yeah,
surely they can't bend the rules. We were talking about it the other day. It's borderline corruption.
It's borderline corruption.
Yeah.
I mean, what message does that send out? I mean, obviously, like you said, it does affect the rest of the teams in the league if Messi goes as well financially. If La Liga are hurt financially, then the lower team, Levante, Granada, are all affected financially. But again, we're talking about football. There's not much integrity in football anyway. So
no, especially not in Spanish football. Ginge, Jack, both.
Hello.
Messi, is he? By the way, behind the scenes, I asked him what he wanted to be called. He said Ginge. I thought it was a bad idea. Debut episode, I'm holding my hands up. I thought it was a bad idea. We're going with it though. Is Messi really gone? Is he going to PSG?
I think I saw something just before we went on air actually about Mbappe saying he wants to leave. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't know if it's.
But where does he go? Where does he go? Where does he go?
this is another question because
you can't go to Madrid. You can't go to
there's
Madrid.
a-
They can't
yeah.
register anyone, can they?
There's only a select few amount like clubs in the world really that can afford wages of that like height really. I guess if you've got Messi coming in, there's gonna have to be someone going out to be able to keep the balance. But I have no idea. I to be honest, I think for Messi, PSG is probably the obvious destination, but I don't know.
Tang's an
Honestly,
Easter
don't
egg
know.
in this, by the way.
Yeah.
He's an Easter egg
in
in
and
this.
out.
Can
Yeah.
you spot him? Can you spot him?
Yeah.
If you can, you get a prize.
Where's Tang? Where's
Yeah,
Tang?
exactly. It's like a crap game of Where's Wally. Ed, so with Messi, it doesn't feel real that he would go to PSG though. That feels, and to be honest though, let's be realistic here. We're all fans of different clubs, right? We've all got our own team. If you're looking at a transfer window that PSG and everyone you call them bottlers and all this kind of stuff, you're looking at a reality where they've signed Donnarumma, Ramos, possibly Messi, and they've got a front three of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi. How terrifying is that? It's terrifying, isn't it?
Outrageous. Yeah,
It'd be
it's
incredible
very,
to see.
very. Oh, it'd be a ridiculous team. You could see them going one step further in the Champions League, 100%.
Can you though?
I think so. You look at
I don't
that.
know,
You look at that front three, and then how defensively solid they would be as well. That's just outrageous.
Thing is, like, can they click in one season though? Like, I don't know if they can all.
Pochettino.
Well,
Pochettino's got a point to prove. Let's be honest here. He didn't win the league last season, and that's the bare minimum if you're PSG, right? I don't care how good Lille was last season, but
they lost in the French Super Cup.
Yeah, they lost in the
didn't
cup. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how many people were playing like of those big players in that game, but still, you're still losing games. The pressure is properly on as the narrative that Pochettino's a bottler anyway. Realistically, I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it, when it comes to that? I still don't really believe that it's actually real. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. What about you, Ash? What do you reckon? Do you reckon Messi, is it real?
I'm fully with you, Owen. I cannot see Lionel Messi in any other shirt than a Barcelona shirt. Maybe for a few years later on, maybe he said before, hasn't he, that he wants to go to the MLS. It's too early. Having said that, though, I don't know who can actually afford him. We mentioned PSG, but can they afford it? He's 34 years old. He wants a 5-year contract. PSG are a up-and-coming club. Is that really a good deal?
5 years at 34 is outrageous. That is basically saying I'm going to retire at PSG if that's the case.
Every player has a sell-by date. I know, it's Messi, he's the best player in the world. But every player, what is the point in, giving him that big a contract? And who can? Even PSG, can they afford him? Like, can Man City afford him? They just signed Jack Grealish for 100 million.
Yeah, I saw rumours that Man City have just offered him 2 years at City and 1 year at New York City.
That's interesting.
Really. To be honest, even with that, I mentioned it about just Grealish alone. Forget about Messi. I mentioned it with Grealish, right? You talk about a team, and I know it's almost like a meme at this point when it comes to Pep again. We've got no money, can't afford anyone. We've got no money. Then they spend 100 million, which is a joke anyway. But also, the issue I have with City spending 100 million is, where the money comes from, obviously, for their ginormous investment. But realistically, in terms of FFP, that's all based on revenue coming in and losses going out. Where on earth are City generating enough revenue they can do £100 million spend on one player? Yeah. One player alone.
Sponsorship money.
Exactly.
Got a bit of a cough there.
Yeah. Academy sales, I know Chelsea make a lot of money out of their academy.
Getting rid of Jack Harrison or whatever, that's not funding Jack Grealish and Lionel Messi. He's on 100 grand a week wages already.
Yeah, I think we could see a few City players leaving. I think now that it's gone through.
That's true. Sterling
they're going to have to.
Before, wasn't he? Sterling, Mahrez all seem to be been offered out to clubs.
Even Laporte as well, which I find baffling. I would have thought they would have tried to fit Diaz and Laporte together.
I think I saw somewhere that Pep said that Bernardo Silva's asked to leave, but you don't know who. Thing is, these players want to leave, but a similar situation with Barcelona. Like, these players they want to get rid of, but if there's no one to buy them, then they're pretty stuck.
Who's going to pay Griezmann's wages? Who's going to pay Umtiti's wages?
That's the issue. Yeah. Man United have that issue right now of they want to get rid of players, but the Premier League is thriving in COVID in the sense that we've got more money in this country in terms of the Premier League than everywhere else, clubs like Madrid, Barca, Juventus are struggling to buy players. But in the same vein, we're struggling to sell players because nobody can afford it. Even from a Man United point of view, who on earth's going to Phil Jones? The guy's on 70 grand a week on like 4 years left on his contract. People in England don't want to pay that. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy numbers.
One matter, Pereira, 2 more.
Well, one matter just got to sign a new deal.
Madness. Madness.
In fairness, the Mata one to me says he'll probably be a coach in maybe a year or 18 months time or something like that. The Pereira one is awful. I mean, he's awful. What frustrated me, I see some people going, I'll tell you what, he's got a great goal in pre-season the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Every couple of years.
Yeah, I could do it. It's like a tree falling and nobody seeing it.
Yeah.
I was telling your kids that when you're older. What was the best goal you scored? Brentford pre-season. Oh, great. Anyway, we've already spoken about Messi too long, so we're going to talk about the Premier League, considering that's what we actually said we were going to talk about. Top 4 predictions. This is an interesting one, considering for one, it's interesting considering that Ed's a Liverpool fan and they're buying no one. And also, as well, considering that you've got 3 clubs in United, City and Chelsea that are investing big money. We'll go start with Leif again. Top 4 prediction. What do you think?
Well, it's no bias involved in my first who's finishing top.
Man United.
Man United. Yeah. It's a bit of optimism there from my part, but
you're genuinely going with United top.
I'm genuinely going with United top.
Wow, you're mental. You're crazy.
I'm genuinely going United top. I'm bringing in optimism.
I know it's a Friday evening, the time we've recorded this, but even as a United fan, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. So United.
No, I have full belief. They finished the season well. I think we're only getting stronger under Ollie. I think now we've got a great spine to the team with Maguire, Varane. We're still lacking the defensive midfield, I think. But if we keep Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, if Cavani stays fit, it looks exciting. I think we're only going to get stronger. I think Sancho's fantastic. So I think we've recruited well so far. It's been the best transfer window we've had in a long time.
But then both signings aren't going to play at the start of the season, though.
I'm optimistic still. I'm optimistic.
Go on then. So United top.
United top, second City. I think it's obviously City. City is City. We did a thing the other day. We looked at their 2 11s they could field, and both them 11s could arguably win the league.
Yeah.
I think we're obviously.
United are going to win the league.
United are going to win the league. Grealish is a great addition. They'll probably get another one. It's Messi. I still think they'll get another big signing, which should obviously put them. City are going to be up there regardless. Third place, I've gone with Chelsea. I think they'll build on momentum from the Champions League from last season. I think obviously there's Lukaku looks like he's going now. I think that's exactly what they needed. I think they got good depth their side, and I can see them being. I think the top 4 is definitely going to be a lot tighter this year. I don't think you're going to see massive gaps like we have done in previous years. I think it's going to be competitive this year. You never know, but and then 4th place just an all scouting. I've gone with Leicester. 4th place.
I feel that's already just a slight dig at Ed.
Yeah, I've gone with Leicester, Ed. 4th place. I think Leicester always struggle to get in that top 4 towards the end. They seem to run out of steam towards the end of the season. But I think
is that steam or is that just them bottling it? You question mentality.
I don't know whether it is. I think with the signing of Patson Daka, I think he's a great sign. I think he scored like 34 goals in 42 games for Salzburg.
Great play on FM as well.
That's great.
Yeah, great play on FM.
Someone was prepared coming into this.
I think he's a complete striker as well, Daka. And I think with Vardy, Daka, Iheanacho, it gives them a lot more depth. And I think towards the end of the season, they'll be able to finish the season with a bit more energy than what they have done in previous years. And Soumare's on that similar ilk. Is a good young player, another good FM player. And Ryan Bertrand's another good nice little sign-in for a left back to sort of mentor Luke Thomas, who's a good prospect. So I can see Leicester with them with 3 signings and maybe a couple more really pushing for that top 4.
So for the record, before we move on to Chris, you are saying no Liverpool, no Spurs, and no Arsenal.
Definitely no Spurs.
Out of curiosity, Leafy, where are Liverpool in your little table?
17th.
So they're not going down then. They're not going down.
Just stay up. No, I think Liverpool will be in the room, but I'm 5th.
I'm going. All right, okay, Chrissy, top 4. What do you think?
So I reckon City will win it. You know, I think Grealish is just the start of their transfer window, pretty much. I think there is another big name to come, whether that be Harry Kane, who's actually come out and said he ain't refusing to go training, which is obviously another sub-story.
I don't buy that. I really don't buy that. I don't know about you.
Come on, Harry, just say you want to win trophies. You don't want to play for a little club in North London, do you, mate?
No disrespect. I don't know if you can actually say that sentence just in general, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
It's about struggle with that sentence anyway. But carry on. So City.
Yeah. So Man City. I'd go Man United second. Like Leif said, they've recruited well. Varane and Sancho. Again, I think I know Ollie has sort of played a bit of games with the press going, oh yes, just those two. Anyone else to be a bonus. I think they will get a bonus signing.
Yeah,
I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure who. Like, obviously, talking about a central midfielder, whether that be a Neves or a Camavinga or whatnot. I think they will.
The rumors, Trippier, isn't it? They reckon that one could be an easy deal to do. I mean, I'd take that, but then I think that depends on people going out. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Third, again, like Leif said, I've gone for Chelsea. I think Tuchel done an outstanding job when he come in. I mean, it's mental that people were saying, "Oh, they shouldn't have sacked Frank Lampard." Blah blah blah. Lampard was 8th, and there was Chelsea only going in one direction. You look at them under Tuchel and that.
They spent a lot of money. Job. Frank spent, not Frank himself, but there was a lot of money involved last year, wasn't there? To be 8th, they panicked. They thought, "Oh my gosh, we're spending so much money."
Yeah. So and like Tuchel was getting the best out of Kai Havertz as well, which
Do you think then? So do you think that? So both of you think then Chelsea are going to be doing not as well as Manchester United, considering Chelsea? I mean, for intents and purposes, last year just kind of bottled the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was even a point in time they were going to overtake Man United last year, and it's completely fell apart. So you both think United have got more than Chelsea this season?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's going to be tight as well. I don't think it's going to be a very tight top 4, even in top 6.
But yeah, 4th, Chrissy.
Yeah. 4th, I've gone with Liverpool, but just, and like another key factor. What Leif? I don't know whether Leif knows about this or whatnot, but obviously you got to consider. You got to consider. Obviously, come January time, this the African Cup of Nations. Obviously, Liverpool lose, Salah and Mane. All right. Mane didn't have his best season last season, but he's still a quality player and whatnot. But I think they'll just pip Leicester to 4th. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to go through the whole table, but I think Leicester will be the team that's again knocking on the door of the top 4. I don't think they'll bottle it as a sense. I think Liverpool will get there before them and that. But so that is my top 4.
So someone has been accused of being an Arsenal fan, maybe, Chrissy. Where do Arsenal finish this season?
Oh, Arsenal finished 6th or 7th. To be honest, Arsenal are just literally a bang average team. I mean,
Chris?
What's that? Sorry, Barnes?
Will they finish that high?
Yeah, will they finish that high?
Generous.
No, I think they will, because they've got no European football. I mean, that was kind of one of the best things about them finishing 8th last season, is that not playing that stupid UEFA Conference League and whatnot. And to be honest, we're not even good enough to play in the Europa League. And that, fair play to Leicester and West Ham for finishing 5th and 6th last season. They completely deserved it. Whereas Arsenal, to be honest, Arsenal deserved near the relegation zone. They was that bad at times last season.
Are you going to support this Oxford or Arsenal then? Who does
better at the start?
See who starts.
Yeah. See, you'll see if you're watching the video version of this throughout the season, Chrissy will change shirts about 500 times. Sometimes midstream. Sometimes midstream. Depends. It's as we go, how we get into it.
Get off now.
Yeah, get it off. Ginge, what do you think? Top 4?
I'm the same as the guys with Man City winning the league.
Leif did say that. Leif.
Oh yeah, sorry.
To be honest, Ginge, don't matter. I wasn't listening to him anyway. so that's fine. Yeah, go on then. City to win.
City to win. Slightly different. Chelsea, I think, is going to finish 2nd. I think Champions League, and I think the way they performed in that sort of proved that they got it in they basically got it. They can in the tank. It's just whether they can produce it. But I think they keep Kante fit, Thiago Silva. I think they're going to be hard to beat. There's not many teams in the division you can really see tearing them to bits. Everyone thought City were going to roll all over them.
Have they signed Koundé yet as well? Is that official? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's another one. That's another one.
No.
Yeah, and I just think watching them in the Champions League got changed, because I think everybody, I think even Chelsea fans sort of thought that, because the hope was City, they thought, they're going to get rolled over here in the Champions League, and Chelsea just did an absolute job on them, and it shows. I think if they can do that to City like that last season, they can do it to anybody in the league. So I think they can be really hard to beat. But I think City, with the additions that like the proposed additions and the additions they've had so far, I think they will win it. The third is Man United, just because I think they've strengthened in the right areas for the first time for the last.
See Leo's face.
It's fuming. But I think every other season they've strengthened some areas you sort of didn't really understand why. But I think now they've actually got like Leif said, the spine is a lot stronger. So I think they'll finish third.
Yeah.
And I think Liverpool round off the top four, because I think Van Dijk coming back, a different animal, aren't they? Liverpool.
Yeah, but is it going to be? I mean, well, we can only speculate. But is it really going to be proper Virgil van Dijk? I mean, everyone was going crazy to see in the preseason when he landed on his behinds with that goal. And everyone's going, see, old Van. See, he's not old Van Dijk. He's finished. Yeah, he's finished. He's not. He's actually Dutch.
He's 28.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going Liverpool fourth, right? Ed, considering the slander you've already received Liverpool what first?
No. I've chopped and changed my order so many times over the last day or two. Man City first. I think that's a given. Their depth is just outrageous. It'd be interesting to see how many go out. I think now that Grealish is in, if they get Kane, how many are going to go out the other way? But their depth is still outrageous. I'm going to back the boys. I'm going to put the boys second. I just think
that's worse than my place.
We've got a lot of players coming back. I think if we can get a central midfield player in, we'll be all right. But the issue is very much central midfield. I think we're okay at the back. I'm comfortable that we've got a bit of depth at the back now with Konate coming in. Up front, so we've got the three main players. We've got Salah, Mane, and Firmino needs a big season this season.
Are they enough? Are they enough at this point? Because I mean, Salah, bless him.
That's where I
tried everything last season. Yeah, but they wouldn't. I mean, Firmino, the argument could be made about goals anyway with him, but certainly Mane last season, he was miles off.
2 years ago, Mane was the main man. Last year, he was poor, so he needs a big year. Firmino needs a big year. His contract is coming to the end. I don't think it's next year. I think the end of next year. So he needs a big season this season. There's a couple of other players who are getting new contracts, and he's not really in the conversation at the minute. So he could well be the one that makes way. Jota had a very good first year last year.
He was good.
Obviously, unfortunately, got injured at the the peak of his powers, so to speak. So he's going to be good coming back in. I just really want us to get rid of Origi and potentially Shaqiri. Origi is basking in the glory of the Champions League final a few years ago, and he's just making a living off of it. Apparently, I've read rumours we've had a couple of offers in for him, just not quite enough because he's still quite young. Actually, he's got a lot.
From who? Telford? Someone like that?
No, Wolves put an offer in apparently at 10 million, and we want 20.
But he's not Portuguese though.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you seem strange.
20 million is a big ask, surely.
So I think Liverpool and United are in fairly similar positions in that if everybody's fit, they've got very, very good starting 11s and a couple off the bench. A couple of injuries, particularly in midfield, both teams look beatable. So if we can get one player through the door in central midfield that could come straight in, I think we'll be all right because we'll have Fabinho back in central defensive midfield. I think Thiago could be a different player this year. If he has Fabinho next to him who can just win the ball for him, give it to him.
He'll probably have a different role this year, you would think. You got the impression last season he was being put into roles that he definitely wasn't good at. AKA the press.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like watching me trying to do a press. I mean, it was outrageous. It's basically can't run. So
because we had so many issues, and he was a big name. They were just like, right, go and play in that shit mix and do what you can.
Yeah, exactly.
When was the last time you pressed, Owen, by the way, out of interest?
When last time I pressed, well, like I play in goal, so that I've never. That would be
high press.
Yeah, I've always done the high press of never. Retired at the age of 16. So we're talking a good nearly 10 years. Yeah. You asked. Carry on, Ed.
You answered.
Anyway, to wrap this up quickly, I'm actually going United third. A lot of you have backed Chelsea, which I thought was quite interesting. They are very resilient at the back, very good tactically. Look at the Champions League final. They outdid Man City tactically. Going forward, I still think there are question marks. Timo Werner did not have a good season last season. Tammy Abraham pretty much scored the same amount of goals as him last year.
He's leaving.
If they get Lukaku And if they get another centre half, then yeah, I think they'll be top 2, top 3. But I still just think there's question marks. So, like Jim said, they keep Kante fit. If they lose Kante, I don't back their midfield that much, to be honest. But they've got a lot of depth in other areas. They've still got a lot of players that haven't really done very much. Look at Ziyech, didn't do much last season. Havertz, I think, came into his own the end of the season, but was a bit part player for the first 2/3 of it. So I'm putting Chelsea 4th and Man U 3rd. I think Man U,
Interesting.
like we've all said, Man U have done very well recruitment-wise. If they get Varane over the line, it's not confirmed yet.
It is over the line. Right, let's not be silly. At least we've got some players over the line, Ed. I mean, we're at Liverpool. You know, they can't even sign the captain up to a new contract, can they?
Oh, no. You've had to sell to Falconati.
That's a whole other ball game. Is Henderson's contract, but yeah,
exactly.
City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea.
Nice one. Barnes, finishing off with you, top 4.
I'm going to be slightly controversial in my top 1. I know they are a slightly chaotic team. I think Tuchel is a slightly chaotic manager. We've seen at PSG before. But if Chelsea sign Romelu Lukaku, I think they will win the Premier League next season.
Oh, it's bold. It's bold for our first episode.
On paper, I think they have the best team 11. They're most consistent. They've got players in form. I mean, you said that they haven't got good midfielders apart from Kante. Jorginho, probably one of the players of the year, maybe possibly Ballon d'Or. He's been spoken about in that kind of frame. Clearly,
Jorginho?
Yeah.
Jorginho Ballon d'Or?
People have said it, yeah. I don't know how serious they're taking it, but I've had it.
Crackhead.
He'd be checked out.
I'm not saying he should get Ballon d'Or, but he's a good player. And Chelsea have
they been suffering from head injuries or something like that at that time?
Drug addiction.
Yeah.
Chelsea are going to be right up there, I think. As I said, there is a bit of a chaotic element. And in the past, I suppose, they have had that thing where if they win something, they tend to then, go on some sort of crash course.
Go crazy.
Go crazy. But I back them this season. I reckon they might do it. In second, I'm really struggling with this one. I'm going to say Liverpool. I think at the minute I'm going to talk about Manchester City because at the minute their current striker is Gabriel Jesus. Now I know the rumours are they're going to sign Kane, but that's a lot of outlay if they're going to sign Kane for 100 million, having already brought in Grealish. And let's face it, Grealish, is he better than what they already have? Is he better than Mahrez, Sterling? They've got Pau Torres, who's young and upcoming. They've got Phil Foden. I'd rather have Phil Foden than Jack Grealish personally in my starting 11. So I'm not sure he's going to make a huge impact. No doubt he'll get, a lot of goals, a lot of assists. He's a great player. I'm not saying he's a bad player. But I don't think he's going to make the huge impact that potentially some people maybe think. Whereas Liverpool, I think, consistency, they've got a great team. The fans are back, whether that will make a difference. But I think they had poor home form last season. I think that will make a difference. Van Dijk's a huge player. And even last season, they were good with injuries. Let's not forget that. I know
they ended the season well, didn't they? They ended the season well. They finished. I mean, ultimately, you can say what you want about Liverpool, and Lord knows we will. But they did end the season third. I mean, I know they say the table never lies, but it does because that is outrageous.
They've got fresh players as well. Like Trent's playing Euros. Gomez. Is he? Well, when he's back, I suppose he'll be fairly fresh. Although who knows what the injury would have done to him? They got Van Dijk. They got quite a lot of players that didn't play in the European Championships. Obviously, AFCON will have an effect, and Chris is definitely right about that. But I'm going to go Liverpool second, Manchester City third, and then fourth. I'm going to have to put Manchester United in fourth. I think Varane is a superb signing, and he will make a big difference to that team.
I can just see the fume on Leify's face.
I don't believe in Ollie. I can't see Man United getting higher into the top.
Not get Ollie sexual.
When Ollie is manager.
Don't get Ollie sexual. Don't get Ollie sexual.
Come on, calm it down.
We can explain that here. There was a comment made on a video that I was on the other day, and it basically said that I'm too Ollie sexual. I've never heard of this phrase in my life. Ollie sexual. I mean, I'm not Ollie out, but Ollie in and out. Jeez, Ollie sexual. Never heard that. My word. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. So okay, we'll move on. We've got about 50 minutes left, so we won't be able to get to everything. Let's go to an interesting one, because guess what? The podcast is called Early Bar Football Podcast, so you've got to get the title in there somehow. First manager to receive an early bar, and by that we mean get sacked, not actually
getting
a bath.
Not actually getting a bath.
Yeah, not actually get a bath. Leif,
Manager.
it would be a really interesting thing if that was the question. Which manager do you think is going to have a bar first? Leif,
just the bleep test has to bathe the manager.
Exactly. Oh God. Leif, first manager to receive an early bath.
It's a toss-up between two. That was Bruce and Hasenhüttl. But I've gone with Steve Bruce. I think Newcastle, I don't think they've signed anyone apart from the young lad from Liverpool, Remy Savage, isn't it?
I mean, are they still actually technically getting sold? I mean, what's going on with them?
I don't know. We haven't known what's going on for the last however many years with my cash. Bruce isn't liked by Newcastle fans. I think if I could see him having them having a bad start, seeing they haven't really recruited. I don't think Willock's not come back, has he? He's not.
I mean, do you see him getting sacked, or him just going, you know what, I've had enough of this?
No, I can see him get. I think he'll get sacked. I could see him getting sacked very early on.
Because I just don't even think with that, like, Mike Ashley would care enough to sack him. You know what I mean? I just don't think he can be bothered.
I think if, say, for example, who was it? De Boer at Everton lost the first 4 games. If something like that happens, I could see him going within the first 5 or 6 games. I think the only player that I really think stands out in that team, there's 2, like Callum Wilson and Sam Maximin, but he's a bit of a luxury player for me. So, like, he's a fantastic player, but he's not something I don't think going to drag him out that battle. So yeah, I think Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce, Chrissy, who's going to be the first manager to get an early bath?
Well, I'm hoping my boss isn't watching this because he's a huge Watford fan, but I'm going to say Cisco at Watford just because, you know, the ownership there is absolutely crazy. And that they go through managers like wildfire. It's like, oh, you haven't won this game, you're gone. Oh, you haven't won that game, you're gone. Oh, you've eaten the wrong pasta, you're gone. And that, you know, that's
the wrong pasty.
Pasty or pasta. They're Italian.
What is the wrong pasta?
They're Italian.
He said the wrong pasty. I was like, what's the right pasty?
Yeah. Like in seriousness, like, you know, I can see like Watford going through 2 or 3 managers again this season just because it's Watford. You know,
even with Nigel Pearson, to be honest, when he was there, like, they sacked him before they actually gave him a chance really to get out of it. There was still possibility he could get out of it. It was like 3 games left or something, and he just decided to sack him and got relegated. So obviously, I agree with you. I think that's a good one. James, what do you think?
I got 2. It's either.
Well, I'm asking for 1.
All right, sorry. Okay, all right. I'll go with Vieira then. If we've got to pick one,
yeah, I think
Vieira at Palace.
Pick. Yeah, I think that's
just because I think he's been a manager at a few other clubs. And I don't think he's really covered himself in much glory, to be honest. No. I think he's been. Yeah, and I think he was New York manager as well for a bit.
Yeah.
When he left City, and I don't think he done particularly well at either of those clubs. So I think I'm quite surprised he got the job, to be honest with you. So
it's a weird Palace thing, isn't it? They go with like someone like an Allardyce or a Pulis or a Hodgson, of someone that can keep them in the league, don't get relegated, and then they get annoyed that they play really, like, you know, old school football or defensive football, bring in a progressive manager and then do terrible, and then sack that manager and then bring in this old fart back in basically again. So Alan Pardew back to Palace, end of the season.
Big Sam.
I mean, you wouldn't be surprised. Be honest, would you? You wouldn't be surprised.
No.
So I think Vieira is quite a good pick. Ed, what do you think? Jurgen Klopp?
No, I was going to go for Vieira actually, because I was also surprised at that appointment, and Palace have lost a lot of players, so I think he's got a very big job on his hands for a very inexperienced manager. But I'm going to go for some other names. I'm going to throw Dean Smith out there because they've lost the talisman and their captain. He's got a lot of money to play with. He's brought in some okay players. I think Buendia had a very good year last year for Norwich. Can he do it in the Premier League? Is he going to be a star player? I remember when Norwich were in the Premier League last time. Wasn't particularly a standout player.
No.
He got a decent amount of assists, though.
Norwich their last time, it was literally just they beat City and then just celebrated that all season.
Yeah, they were average all round. Leon Bailey's a good signing. I think
he's a good signing.
We were going to come on to top transfers. He's probably up there. He's a very good signing. Yeah, I think he could be under pressure given the outlay, and given that the owners are trying to push to be in that top sort of 7 or 8. If things don't start clicking, there's a lot of new players that are coming in at Aston Villa, he could well be out the door.
Danny Ings scores goals, though, doesn't he? I think that's quite a shrewd signing.
Well. If he stays fit.
If he stays fit. But for Villa, so I mean...
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You could say it was a bit of a lateral move, but I don't know if it is of Southampton at this point. I think
not.
Southampton are going backwards.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Barnes, who do you think? First manager to receive an early bath?
Well, I've got to agree with Chris. I mean, Cisco and the Watford manager is absolutely crazy. But I'll throw one out there that hasn't been said yet. I think Eds was a good shout with Dean Smith as well. I think he's going to be under pressure. I'm going to throw out Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
His opening free get, he's got, I think in the first 6 games, they've got Man United, Tottenham and Chelsea. If they lose all of them, he is going to be right under pressure. And they open the season as well, which is always tough.
Is that their start?
Yeah.
It's not their start, but that's who they got in the first 6 games.
Gosh.
I think
in reality, I'm surprised more like the Arsenal fans will say the rebuild. But in reality, they finished 8th last season and they have spent money the last couple of years. I mean, you can talk about well, we're building, but building what? Where is the sign of progress? Put it this way, if it comes to Man United have been on a rebuild for 8 years at this point. I mean, the fact that, there are some fans, even with Ollie, that every year he's actually had gradual improvement. Even some fans aren't happy with that. Even some fans will have a go. So I would agree. I'm surprised. To be honest, when it comes to Arteta, I know there was a point last year when they didn't win a game for 6 games in a row or something ridiculous, did they? And he got away with that. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's an interesting one. And speaking of interesting ones, because we've got about 10 minutes left, Premier League dark horses. This is an interesting one. Now, dark horses, I'm not going to say someone's going to win the league to a Leicester or something like that, because that's ridiculous. But who do you think is going to be the team that, I don't know, surprises people or does better than people would think this season? We'll start off with Leif again.
I think Brentford. I think Brentford have been...
You reckon?
I think arguably the last 3-4 years they've been close. They've been quite unlucky from the Championship. They've been playing good football. I think actually they might even be more suited football-wise to the Premier League. I think they'll surprise a few people. I've not said I don't think they'll finish, like you said, and do something like a Leicester, but I can see them finishing in the top 10. I really can. I think
top 10. I mean, that's a big ask, isn't it? I mean,
I think they could push the top up. I think they play great football. I think if you can get even Tony clicking in the Premier League, I think I watched him in the playoff final. Granted, I haven't watched Brentford that much, but he really impressed me around. I thought he was a complete striker around the box. He was shooting from everywhere, and he was just looked dangerous, strong, quick. So if they can get him clicking in the Premier League, then I think the sky's the limit for him. Really,
isn't the issue for someone like that though that say he does the first half of the season play really well, January comes, that's a January purchase, isn't it, for most clubs?
It's very true.
That would be an issue. I mean, the only reason I think it's interesting with Brentford is because where did Everton finish last season? Was it 9th?
Yeah,
9th in the end. Top 10. I mean, legitimately, there are 10 clubs in that spend a lot of money, like a serious amount.
I think they're a great footballing side. It's interesting you say about Tony about him. Obviously, if he has a great start to the season, scores goals, potentially could go in January. But Brentford have gone through and replaced strikers before in the Championship. They've got a good recruitment. So I think there could be dark horses.
Nice, Chrissy, dark horse. Not dark fruits, dark horse.
I mean, to be honest, Leif did take my one. I was going to say Brentford myself, but I will throw another team out there. I'm going to say Norwich. Norwich in the sense that I don't think they'll get relegated this season because usually they're a team you'd bank on getting. I think they are one of them teams that they do run the club really well. That they don't spend huge amount of money on bringing players in and whatnot, and they've already made massive amount of money on. Buendia and that, but I think Billy Gilmour is an absolutely mammoth signing for them.
Great signing.
You look at his performance for Scotland against England; he was absolutely phenomenal. It was just a shame he put it in against England, but I think he's a great signing. Obviously, they've spent money on that other midfielder from Nice, who's like Nice's captain as well last season. I can't remember what his name was, but it was like a £3.5 million signing. And I generally think they will surprise people by staying up.
They still got Cantwell as well, haven't they? I mean, he's quite a player too.
Yeah, although Villa are in for him as well.
It's true. But I mean, that's an interesting one. Ginge, dark horse, who do you think?
Leify's really got to like me. Leeds United.
I mean, are they technically a dark horse though? Because they did finish, was it 10th last season? I mean,
Yeah,
that was technically
true.
that was their dark
You think
season.
But I
Or do you
think
think
a lot
even
of people-
higher?
I think a lot of people were very sort of like unsure about how they were going to do. Like obviously, everyone knows Bielsa's like his record and everybody respects him so well, but he didn't know how it was going to transfer into the Prem, whether it was going to work. And I think there's one of the teams outside of the top four teams that frighten every team. Like I think every team's frightened of playing them because they just have that unique style, high press, like aggressive, and it's amazing to watch. I just honestly think that. I think they will do better than what they've done last year. I know they haven't really strengthened, but I think they
even
will
for
do better.
a United fan, knowing that we have them first game of the season, knowing that a Man United team that's had a really staggered preseason and the team that's starting the opening game isn't going to be Man United's strongest team, and even if we do play some of our better players, they're not going to be fresh. Having a fresh Leeds team against us that is going to press us. I mean, we struggled against Palace opening last season. And that's a Roy Hodgson Palace. They ain't pressing nobody, let alone Leeds. So I mean that concerns me. I mean, I think you're right though. You do get the impression with Leeds that because they don't exactly invest big either, do they?
No,
I mean if they did, they'd be closer, wouldn't they? Surely.
I think they're missing. I think they may be missing a bit of depth up front. I think Bamford's a good player, but I think maybe they need somebody else to bring goals.
Yeah.
But I think that Firpo's quite a good signing. It's like a good replacement for. Is it Alioski that's left? I think he sort of suits that sort of style of pressing, attacking wing backs. So I think that sort of makes him a bit better in that respect. But I just think that the way he plays, there's no team that I like look at. And honestly, if they were 4-0 behind, they're like one of the few teams I'd honestly think that could actually win 5-4 because they're just relentless, like whole game, relentless attacking press.
Yeah. I mean, even when United played them at Old Trafford last season, like at one point they were like 4-0 down or something. They just carried on playing. They just didn't care. They didn't care. So I mean, I think it's an interesting one. Priest, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say Brentford and
Liverpool?
Leeds.
Oh, right.
No, they're not dark horses, Aaron. They're going to win the league.
No.
I mean, if I run through all the teams that could be dark horses, Wolves, I think, are rebuilding. Will depend on how well Jimenez comes back. West Ham have not recruited at all, and they've got European football this year. So will they do as well?
Might be being taken over as well. That was the thing. There was a third man spying them out or something. That's crazy.
Watford, can't see them staying up. Tottenham going backwards. Southampton going backwards. Norwich, can't see them staying up. Newcastle haven't bought anyone. Could they get taken over? I don't know. Who else we got? Palace, awful. Have lost like half their team.
That's a big statement.
Palace, awful.
Honestly, I think Palace could finish bottom.
Oh, big shout.
I think there are newly promoted clubs that could finish above Palace this year.
Is that a dark horse the other way around? Is that a dark horse the other way around? Biggest surprise that Palace is just going to do terrible this year.
Honestly,
Palace are awful.
Palace. If we ever get to a point where we get shirts and stuff like that, it will just be Palace. Awful.
I think Palace have been lingering down the bottom of the league for quite a while now, so I'd like to see them go down and just stop shithousing it.
I feel at this point, Ed. I feel at this point, Ed, you've just got a bit of an agenda against Palace. I'm thinking back to the time they cost you the league and they come back from 3-1 down because he said Palace awful. Palace. I just hope they go down.
I hope they go down so they can stop being our bogey team, mate.
He's basically answering it Premier League dark horse.
Yeah, Premier League dark horse. You've just gone in on how you just dislike Crystal Palace. It's Premier League dark horses. Well, Palace are awful.
And then, I mean, the last two, Burnley, they haven't really bought anybody, but they'll be all right. Brighton will be interesting to see if they reinvest the Ben White money. I'm not sure they will.
If they can actually, if they could score, then you would put them in like a dark horses kind of situation.
Would. Yeah.
Barnes, what do you think? Premier League dark horses.
I was going to go with Chris and go Norwich. I think they've been preparing this for maybe even when they were like getting relegated, they didn't seem bothered. It was really weird. I think they've been planning this. They smashed the Championship as well.
Interesting. They didn't sack their manager.
No,
they gave him a new deal. They gave Farke a new 4-year deal, I think.
Yeah, Delia obviously believes in Farke, so I was going to say that, but I have a sneaky feeling that there's not a dark horse at all, but I think Tottenham won't be as bad as people are maybe thinking they will. I think Nuno's a decent manager, even though he wasn't the one they wanted. I think he'll set them up well, and they'll actually turn out to be all right, particularly later on in the season. Might even win the Conference League. So
it's a trophy. It's a start, isn't it? It's a trophy.
It'll be their first one since 2008.
Yeah, Chrissy's counting.
Yeah, I am.
I'm actually really surprised you guys said Norwich. Honestly, they're on my list for relegation. Honestly, think that.
Yeah, it's biggest. They're built upon being a yo-yo club, aren't they? Really?
I think it's a toss-up between them and Watford.
Brentford will be better than Norwich? They weren't better than in the Championship at all.
Mainly because Brentford first time in the Premier League. There's some teams when they remember Reading when they first came up really had that sort of boom when they first come up.
Yeah, some Premier League, some promoted teams come up and they'll finish like seventh. The issue is they get relegated next season after that.
Hull City was another one. Hull City,
yeah, exactly. I think it could have that boom. I think in Norwich definitely they've got with Billy Gilmore, and if they keep Cantwell, they've got the potential to do it. It's just I think that at Norwich they are built upon being a yo-yo club. Like you said, when they were going down, it's just part of being Norwich. Going down.
Yeah, and they expect to come back the following season. They just go, we'll be back next season.
Have a clue about what they're doing. I'm not sure whether that means that will lead to success, but they seem to think they know what they're doing.
Maybe that was part of the preparation. They're preparing for coming back up to the Premier League when they're getting relegated from the Premier League.
Yeah, maybe. But I think that's about it for today. That's been 45 minutes. How quickly has that gone, by the way? Outrageous.
That's outrageous. By.
Yeah, but thank you everyone for tuning into this. We'll be back same time next week talking about, I guess, a proper preview. I only decided what we're going to do yet for next week because it's the preview. I guess there might be a game on. We might have to do it a bit earlier. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
It'll just be 45 minutes of Ed talking about how bad Crystal Palace are.
Well, let's make it a point. I mean, Ed's going to be that guy that isn't allowed in a certain section of London. If this goes popular, it's in a lot of trouble. Stemming from the first episode. But thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.